Bingy, Okavango, Rasdada, Yaga, Truck Fender, the Living Fire represent to the fullest. See? Perfect balance. Don't know so. Trod class. Living Fire represent. Keep the fire burning out. What Emmanuel I Celestia Jack. Keep it like right. This is it.
Welcome everyone to another episode of the Perfect Balance Trodclass, a place where conscious-minded individuals are guided towards the realization of their full potential through collective reasoning. We have with us today Okavango, the Rebel Guru, Nyaga, aka Teacher Ma'at,
Yes, sir.
Bing, and I'm yours truly, Ras Dada. We are the Perfect Balance Trod. Wagwan, my lord?
Yeah, give thanks.
Everything up full?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for life.
Sorry.
Great energy, you know?
I have
Um, It's a good vibration. I want to remind our viewers to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the share button. You know, let's get everyone involved in this conversation, this reasoning, as we discuss those issues that affect us as Caribbean, African people,
Afrobeat.
Afrobean people. And let's remember that as the Perfect Balance Trodclass, we are on the road to 1K. We're doing a very good job at it, but we're on that final stretch in which we need you now to get active and hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that share button so we can cross the finish line. Today, we want to do a follow-up reasoning on the South Africa and U.S. relations situation that's unfolding. We see this week where the president of South Africa, President Ramaphosa, made a diplomatic visit to the United States president at the White House, where they had a reasoning, or should I say an ambush?
Ambush.
My bad. Sorry. I mean,
I would say
press
an
conference.
attempt ambush.
An attempted ambush that was foiled.
Yeah.
Is there a charge for that? Is there, if it's considered as an attempt, is there a charge for it, or is it?
I'm
does it have to
sure
be an
there's
ambush?
something on the books.
There might be
Something.
I'm sure you'll find something.
Attempt carry the same charge as actually doing it. So I would
Okay,
think.
all right, okay. So we wanna let's have a little reasoning to see what we thought because we were looking forward to this unfolding. We had our views as to how it would unfold, so we wanna see if how it unfolded matched up to our ideas of how it would, and to see what we took away from the this meeting and what we would like to see going forward. So I'll touch on Brother Yaga to kind of give the viewers a recap of what happened in this press conference between both presidents.
Well, to be fair, I kind of like how the red carpet was rolled out for Ibrahim Traore in Russia, and he was treated with dignity and treated as a sovereign leader of a country. And I was sort of expecting that for our president, since he take it up to travel to America, to be the guest in such a high stakes discussion where tension is at its highest between South Africa and the USA. We've seen the ambassador was declared persona non grata. So, and with the South African calling out the biggest apartheid of all time and taking a certain country to the ICC, we see all of this is playing in the hand. But I think the president has shown that he's an elder statesman and handle himself with diplomacy, because he could have gone full Zelensky. And fortunately, his leadership came out where he took control of the conversation and exposed the lies.
Okay. So Bingy,
Yes, I.
were you impressed with how the press conference unfolded?
I don't know if I was impressed with how it unfolded, but I was impressed with Ramaphosa's poise. Right? He was a statesman in the moment. Somebody who gets ambushed but is even prepared for the ambush. Think about that, right?
Attempted
You're being
ambush.
ambushed. Somebody's ambushing you, but you actually prepared for it because you know why? you're elder than he is. He's a child. So you know what a child is gonna come with. So you're prepared for it. That's why. So that I'm impressed with, right? But
Guerrilla
unfortunately, we
warfare,
need.
you know.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So that listen, man, hats off, and that's African maturity, brother. That's what you call maturity on this earth. Literally, when you watch a man like that, right? That's what it is, right? He's a statesman, he's an elder, he knows how to handle the situation. On one hand, whatever. The point is the press conference or the attempted ambush, right? They showed Malema, at a rally, basically, shouting, whatever, they were shouting at the rally as to put South Africa in
Analyze.
this light that it's so violent against white people, right? And it's apartheid and this, right? You pushing this apartheid narrative. But you're the only person who's pushing this narrative, right? Because there is no apartheid. And not even apartheid, genocide, I should say, right? He's saying there's genocide, but there's no genocide
White
because,
genocide.
yeah, why genocide? But what constitutes genocide? What does genocide mean? What does that really mean, right? On a bigger scale, too, right? There is no genocide of anybody in South Africa. We know that. Unfortunately, when we look at these numbers, these so-called numbers that they're talking about, the most people who are dying are still African people who are dying by the masses. During apartheid, after apartheid, Africans are still dying. That's the whole point, right? And they try to, elude from that fact, right? These so-called people who are on a genocide, guess what? They live in their best lives on a land that don't even belong to them. Like literally, they live in their best lives, right? You have 62 million people in a country. These are 2.7 million people, but they still are the head of society in a land that don't even belong to them, right? All right, you can make that argument. Hey, we were born here, so we are Africans now, right? Listen, all right, national identity, right, and ethnic identity is two different things, right?
Different things.
Two completely different things. We're talking about ethnic identity and national identity, right? So the people who are ethnically from that place, they're the ones who are deprived of everything, right?
Victimized.
And victimized. And that's the whole reality of this whole thing, man. So this whole charade that they had at the White House, man, that's all for Ramaphosa. Unfortunately, Africa is still in a position where they have to deal with these
With
people.
this.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But hats off
Brother
to Ramaphosa.
Okavango, Brother
Sorry.
Okavango, the allegations that were being made as it relates to Brother Lamumba, what's your take on that?
Malema.
Lamumba?
Lamema.
Malema.
Malema.
My bad.
Well, I think they played a video of Malema saying, kill the boy, right? But you see, and they're using this video, say Malema saying that as he's saying kill white farmers or kill white people, because that's what they kill the boy. I mean kill the white farmers or kill, you know what I mean? Because that's what the boys were.
Yes.
But they are totally like misrepresenting the fact of everything. They have forgotten a big part of history, because that saying came from apartheid era, when black people, indigenous black people of South Africa, was fighting against these Afrikaners who were implementing apartheid. That's where it come from. So it was a defensive warrior chant for the people to defend themselves against apartheid. That's where the chant is coming from. So that spirit, you know what I mean, from apartheid, that fighting, it live on still. And because the apartheid, the change from apartheid to a equal South Africa for everybody, it's still in the process. It's not an equal country yet. It's not equal. That's why, you know what I mean, that's why you start this whole uproar, right? The land reform. You
But they
understand?
want
So that's where that
separatism.
chant come from.
They want separatism.
Yeah. So when people who are still fighting for equality in South Africa will use the chant, they still use that chant, because, you know what I mean,
It's a
things need to
traditional chant. It's an anthem.
yeah.
It's an
Yeah, so
anthem.
they forgot totally where the chant is coming from. It's coming from inequality in South Africa.
Mhm.
And when Malema is saying that chant, he's chanting against inequality in South Africa.
Mhm.
Because even though apartheid is technically
Mhm.
finished, the bad that
remnants
apartheid is still there. Everything is still there. The remnants of apartheid is still there.
and
Mhm.
still
You know what I
affecting
mean?
the
Yeah.
majority.
But I think what
Yeah.
you could equate it to is Jim Crow laws. Like literally in that time then, right?
Yeah.
And right now there, you could equate that to Jim Crow laws. Literally.
You know, this technique that is used so often in the media of using sound bites to completely misrepresent the context in which people are expressing an idea is so prevalent that it's like almost every opportunity they get, they choose to do that because they strive on sensationalism. They strive on emotional reactions of people. So to get the ratings, they want to make sure that people are worked up and become emotional. So they use these things. So my view on all of this is that if you are in your home, right? And a criminal, since we like to talk about crime and how crime affects the national security and all of this stuff. A criminal comes into your home, right? And says, okay, I'm going to allow you to live here still, but we're going to control this area of the home. Don't come over here or it's problems. You work with this. Eventually they come back and say, no, you know what? We need another area of your home. So now they're expanding in your home. So you're getting less, they're getting more. So at some point you're gonna say, no, no, this can't work. So you're gonna now stand up and say you wanna take back your home, or if you can't take back your entire home based on the condition, you wanna take back some more of your home, right?
Of
There
course.
is nowhere on this planet that person who the home belongs to would be seen as doing something wrong or inciting genocide against those criminals. There's nowhere on this planet that view would be taken.
And to
Mhm.
speak a little bit more on the Malema video, right? Because the video was played as a video of the South African government, showing the
Governments.
South African government
Mhm. Their position.
chanting the South African government chanting to kill the boy or kill white people, right? But Malema is not a part of the South African government.
He's
You
not.
know what I mean? He's not a part. So it I don't know why they played the video. So they didn't even know like the facts of the whole situation.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But that's the narrative they want to push.
Right,
The
because of the
South African
sensationalism
government
of
is
it.
saying this. You
Yes.
understand?
It's
Even though
unfortunate.
the whole thing is even though what Malema is saying is a total different thing as what they're trying to represent is as.
That's a
But
bit
still,
extreme. But
Malema is not a part
when
of the
you're a
government.
revolutionist, when you're a revolutionist and you're fighting for your freedom, these are heated moments, and things like these will come out in the heat of the moment. But is that actually happening? We've seen where that is happening, but we don't hear the same level of outcry. Or if we're hearing some outcry about that now, it's because it's getting from bad to worse. But yet still people are silent on that. And
Right. Right.
I'm happy that
Right.
Ramaphosa was not allowing himself to be coerced, because at the end of the day, South Africa plays a pivotal role in the development of Africa, in being a member of the G20 and being a member of BRICS, which is trying to reshape the world into a multipolar world. So they've got a good standing and a good foot to be firm and demand what they want and let nothing be forced on them. This propaganda video was designed to add pressure to South Africa to get the American demands across.
But you know what, Yaga? In all reality, because we live in a financial system, today now we still wondering what was the outcome of the meeting itself, even after all these falsehood, right? For example, they showed you graves and he said that was what people going to mourn or
Their
whatever,
loved ones,
whatever,
right?
right?
So
But
it was white farmers going to
white
mourn their
for
loved ones. So it
their
was
loved
thousands
ones.
of burial. It's a
So,
burial site with thousands of graves of
yeah,
white farmers going to mourn their loved ones.
yeah, but guess what? That's not even true, right?
But
That's false,
Ramaphosa
right?
said to him,
That's
Ramaphosa said
but
to him,
that's he asked him where that is, you know. He
Mr.
also asked him where that
President,
is. Yeah,
Mr.
where's that?
President,
He don't
where is
know.
that? Do you know where is that? Huh? No, no, no,
But
no,
but but
no.
but the South African government did come back and say, hey, that is a site where black and white farmers are buried, right? Black and white, right? But when I say farmers, are really the people who work in the land for the white people, right? But the majority of these people are really
Black
African
people.
people. Them those grave sites are African people. They're not
And when we say
Afrikaners.
African, we're talking about black people. We don't
Ethnic,
want to
yeah,
Black
black
confuse
people.
it.
people,
Now you
yeah.
have these
Well,
other
yeah,
people
Indigenous
say
there's a clear
Africans.
African too.
distinction too, you know, because we say
Yeah.
Afrikaners because they're not
You want to differentiate.
Africans.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
they,
right.
yeah. So they themselves differentiate. That's why they say
Mhm.
they
Right.
Afrikaners, right? So yet you show this separatism, but you still saying, hey, this is mine. But you
Mm-hmm.
separate,
Yeah.
Why are
right?
they
So
playing
that's what I'm
victims?
saying.
Why are
So,
they
so that's what
playing
I'm saying. The
victims?
separate but equal Jim Crow ideology still exists there today, playing out in a real feel, you know,
Yeah, man,
even
real life,
after
bro.
apartheid, right? Which it represented then during apartheid, but today it's still playing out in the same manner, right? But with
Yeah.
all of that being said, we know that South Africa come here to make a deal. To the end of the day, Ramaphosa is looking for a deal, you know, some type
Mm-hmm.
of deal, right? He didn't just come
Yeah.
to America. No, it's economics he thinking too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, you dealing with these powers in the world and stuff
True.
like that. Remember, South Africa has minerals. They have rare earth minerals. They have all different kind of minerals. He, as a president, I guarantee will negotiate with America. So we're gonna see what the outcome is gonna be, and the reason for that is Africa is still dependent on European powers.
Yeah.
They are
But the
still
trade
And
must be
dependent on
equitable. As
European
long as
powers.
there are
And
equitable trade, and we are not afraid of trading and being in partnership
you have to
with
develop. So
international
trade is
partners
part of your
because
development. Yeah.
it's supposed to be a symbiotic relationship where we live from each other and trade with each other whatever we need to trade on. You know, that is how it
But it
is
doesn't
supposed to
work
be in
like
the
that,
ideal
Yaga.
world.
It don't
We
work
know
like
that.
that though.
And
There
that
is
is what
no
we are fighting
equality in the trade.
against.
Yeah,
That is what
yeah,
we are fighting against.
yeah. It don't
yeah.
work like that.
One of the biggest takeaway from the whole thing, because we see what it was, what the attempt was. And
Right.
for me, the biggest takeaway was the South African delegation. They saw it coming, just like us. Everybody saw it coming because Donald
Yeah.
Trump, with his little peanut brain, he wanted to have another Zelensky moment because he was so proud of that. You know what I mean? He humbled
Predictable.
Zelensky, so it was an attempt to humiliate the South
Yeah.
African government.
Uh-huh.
So, the whole world could see it from afar. Like everybody was expecting this,
Uh-huh.
but the South African delegation was well prepared.
To take
Even
a phrase from cricket, and the South Africans are good at cricket. He played with a straight bat,
yeah.
Right.
So
straight down the
they
pitch.
they they yeah, man, yeah, man. You could see it from afar. A
It
tech time ball.
Yeah, I break through to
is.
my wall.
So the South African delegation, you know what I mean? Even the makeup of the delegation, it was very strategic, where he mixed
The
with a mixture
delegation.
of white and black South
But it's a
Of
Africans
course.
there.
representation of the South African Parliament.
But it's the
So
government.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
that's
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
government.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So, and he took, it was equally white and black, and he took people that strategically took people that Donald Trump like. Donald Trump love a rich person. You know what I mean?
and a
And he,
golfer.
he he also took a famous golfer from South Africa,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
Donald Trump love golf. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like it was good to see an African country being so
Strategic.
strategic. It was,
The only
Pay
you know what I mean? So
disappointment
attention to
Donald had,
they
detail.
confused the enemy.
the only
Yeah.
Confused
disappointment
the
That's
enemy.
Donald
So
had,
he didn't
he
know
didn't have a
if to
plane.
attack.
He didn't have a
Eh?
plane to
real
offer. That was the
maturity,
only
bro.
disappointment
Yeah,
Donald had.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's maturity. That's a father dealing with his child. Literally.
Yeah, man. very sadly.
That's a
So
part of
I
dealing
think
with the child. Perfectly,
in all
perfectly.
yeah, I think in all this, the South African delegation, they came out of it
He
mostly
stopped him and
unscarred
said,
from it.
how can we solve this problem? And they were asking Donald, how can we solve this problem? And
I liked his response to that.
Ramaphosa stepped
Ramaphosa.
in. Ramaphosa stepped in and said,
I'd
"Let me
like to
answer
answer
that."
that.
And you could see the look on Donald's face. He was surprised by it. He wasn't happy about it, but it's a question that Ramaphosa can handle because it's his country and he's the president of the country. So he went ahead to expound on what we could do, and he's saying that we could have equality where we're living side by side, and we're living in harmony. And we have this land distribution where we distribute the land equitable among the people. These will address some of the problems that we are having. And in fighting crime, we have a crime problem. Let's help to fight this crime problem and find a solution to this problem. So
But I want to reiterate, Yaga, the crime problem is still African people who are the majority victims. We must emphasize that, because the narrative that they're pushing is is a false narrative. It's a false claim by numbers.
fake
And when you
news,
look at the numbers
fake news,
statistically,
in the words of the
yeah, man.
famous man.
Yeah. Fact check. Do a fact check. You will see.
What I liked with that question was when he said that how we can solve this is by the president listening
Listening.
to the
Yeah, man,
facts.
listening to the
Don't
facts of the
don't
situation.
just take anything people come and push at you and say it, but actually listening to both
Listening.
sides of the argument too, and then formulating a position, to show that it would take maturity, because this is what he's really
Hey,
implying in his response to say
Yes.
to
Danny
solve
boy
this,
was
it's gonna require maturity.
Danny boy was like coming out after that. He said, "Hit the light, hit the light."
No, that was to show the videos, isn't it?
Yeah, he
That was
said,
to,
"Hit
Yeah,
the
that,
but
light."
that was
but
to
but you
show
want
the
to create
videos.
that
Get
you want to create a scene,
preschooling.
Want to create a scene, yeah, to
Right.
see
Yeah.
how horrific it was, and you know what I mean. Want to create this, you know what I mean? The
But he was in
scene,
our
you know what I mean?
classroom. The teacher
And
was
then
Yeah,
teaching the
yeah.
students
this
our
reporter interrupted
classroom.
him. This reporter interrupted him, Dada. The
Mm.
He
reporter
said,
interrupted him to
no
talk
more,
about
no
something
more
else, and he
questions
wasn't
from
happy
you.
about that at all.
I
No
think it was
more
the plane. Was
questions
the
from
The
you.
plane?
plane.
The plane.
The plane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's our position on this plane situation?
No, man.
Half
Cause
of them business that still.
but so
Yeah.
Man, up
what is
here
it? What
alone,
is
him
it?
get billions too.
Right, but
Nobody
is it a matter that now, whenever you have any kind of diplomatic dealings
Negotiation.
with the US, you have to know
bring a
With a
gift.
sweeten the
plane.
pot. You have to sweeten the pot. A
Yeah.
precedence is being set that whenever you're in these dealings now, you have to know push
Sweet
out.
in the pot.
You have to
Right.
push out
Yeah.
in order
Well,
for you get any kind of thing out of it. Because if you're not pushing out, then you're not
So
getting.
what it is, Ramaphosa pushing out then? Because
He
you
don't
had a
have
push out.
anything for push out.
no, none to
He
push
don't have
out.
nothing for push out.
No, man. He had thing to push out. He pushing out something behind
Him
closed
have
doors.
gold. Him have
Well,
Yeah,
gold.
he
well.
pushing out something.
Gold and diamond.
Him
Guaranteed.
have diamonds.
Yes, he have rare earth minerals
Him have
Mm-hmm.
as
rare earth
well.
minerals.
Rare earth minerals. He pushing out something. But the outcome is what we really want to see, right? But because based
Yeah,
on
we want
all
to
of
see what
this,
they all come from the meaning.
there
What was
is some
what?
type of
Right,
agreement that was
right,
made.
Yeah,
right.
what deal was made behind closed doors?
Some
Right.
deal
You know
was
That
what I
is
made.
what
mean?
we
Mr.
need
I,
to know.
President,
that I was saying about the plane thing. Then I says a beautiful plane, and why wouldn't
He
he take the
accept it.
plane? Why
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't he not accept the plane? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a beautiful plane, and he want it. So hey,
But like we're saying, in these dealings, economic national dealings, diplomatic dealings, we don't want it to be carrying any kind of semblance of extortion. We want it to
yeah,
be done on a
equitable.
dignified It might not be
business deal.
100% equitable, you know, but we want it to be
Yeah.
dignified. We want it to be
Yeah.
considered. You know what? At least there might never be 100% equal, because in the real ideal world, in a real world, we now go see that because the person will
And them
have the
still
quote
have we
unquote
as not
power.
being equal.
Right,
But
right.
when it comes down to business, the
It should be
terms has to be
dignified.
right. And if the terms
Yeah,
are not
man.
right, then
Dignified.
we're gonna walk away from that deal.
Yes, from the table. Yeah, man.
That is the bold
Yeah.
step we need to see Mr.
The
President
leaders
Ramaphosa
take it.
taking,
Take it.
where the African continent will be proud of that bold step, because he stood up and sell his resources so that the people of the country can benefit from the resources, and they are adding value to the resources. So that is what I would like to see.
Yes, sir, which is right. So, it's I overall I thought that the president, the South African delegation did a great job in handling this fiasco. Um, I think that, like Brother Okabongo had stated earlier, that some stance should have been taken in that, okay, well, you're already on this hemisphere of the earth, so it's quite easy for you to come and visit us here. Come and see for yourself then. But
Yeah.
that wasn't the option taken, which, I don't know why that wasn't an option, but I think that that would have been a better option, because then it would
Why
firsthand
would that
eliminate.
why would that be an option if you already know you're promoting a lie? That
They
is
have
not
an
an
agenda.
option.
They have an
Right.
agenda that doesn't fit into the
So
agenda.
so
Yeah,
so
that is
this
not.
this so this identifies the agenda.
Yeah,
You
Well,
yeah,
understand? It
absolutely,
Ramaphosa
identifies the agenda.
absolutely, absolutely.
Ramaphosa did make one demand in his press conference, that he's expecting to see Donald at the G20, because he's going to hand over the presidency to him and he needs him to be there. So he needs to think long and hard about that.
Yeah. I don't think he's going.
Let's see how that one develops.
I said, stay tuned.
Yes,
Well
sir.
done,
Stay tuned.
Stay
well
tuned. Stay
done to
tuned.
the South African delegation. Well done.
Delegation. Yes, man.
Yeah, well
And,
done.
and and really and truly, we know the US government doesn't care really about any white farmers really in South Africa.
No,
Now, I
no.
mean, their issue is with South Africa is because South Africa doesn't see eye to eye with them and their worldview. South Africa doesn't agree
Apartheid.
with them.
Apartheid.
Yeah, but I'm getting to that. They don't see eye to eye with them because with the whole Israel-Palestine thing,
Palestine,
they and
yep,
South Africa
yep.
and the whole BRICS thing.
Mhm,
And that is the big matter right there.
mhm,
You know what I mean?
mhm.
So they are now seeing South Africa as like an enemy because South
Right.
Africa holds certain stands. You know what I mean?
A
That's in their
global
DNA.
stage.
Because one South Africa, a country that went through apartheid themselves, when they see something apartheid, they're gonna call it out. You know what I mean? And
That's
you
right.
have to big up South Africa on that.
Mhm.
You have to big them up on that because they could just take the route of not intervening and us, you know what I mean, lay back and let them do them thing. But they know they take a bold step and say, no, that is apartheid. Call it out and stick to it too. You know
Right.
what I mean? And the US doesn't like that. And that is why we know what is that, because this parties in power now, the Republican Party, they are always, you know what I mean, fighting with these Jewish people.
Genocidal, Mangamizimal people.
Right now, there is a genocide going on
And
in the Gaza.
no mention is made of it.
No,
You're talking
no.
The
about a
whole thing, a
fictitious
genocide is going on
genocide.
right now, and they're talking about
A fictitious
a
genocide.
tribe. Yeah,
A
making up a
fictitious
genocide.
Yes.
But the whole world says it so. The only people vote against any restrictions or any end to this whole thing is the US. The US is the only country who is voting not to do anything about it. Time and time and time and time again. So the whole world recognize what's going on. But
Yeah.
even for South Africa, remember, when South Africa was going through apartheid, these people, the Palestinians, were in solidarity with South Africans.
Because
So
they
we
were
have to
going through the same thing at the time
because
too.
they've been going through
They
the
were going through the
same
same thing
thing.
at the time
So they
too.
identified what was happening because they know, because they've been going through it too, right?
Yes, sir.
So you must expect South Africa in that moment to stand up and call it out for
And
what
these
it
are
is
some of the
because
same
they've
people
seen
who
it.
support the African and the apartheid regime in
Yes,
South Africa
I.
from that time
But
until this time.
based on everything, based on all the facts, based on history, US has been a supporter of apartheid. They have always been, and it seems like they
Always,
always will
always,
be a
always.
supporter of apartheid.
Because remember
Because
that
remember,
it
US
fits
had their
it fits
apartheid, you know.
it fits right into their ideology.
No, remember, US had their apartheid too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jim
they call it a
Crow
different name. They call it what?
and
Jim Crow?
segregation.
They call it Jim Crow.
AKA
Yeah.
segregation.
Yeah, it's apartheid.
Yeah, of course
It's
it's
apartheid.
apartheid.
Yeah.
Of course it's apartheid.
Yeah, so I
Hmm.
think they miss it so much they want to see it go on in other places.
And they welcome seeing it.
Yeah, man.
It
So
said to them it said this look like the good old days.
yeah.
Right,
So we want to hear
right.
from the people. I sound off in the comment section as usual, and let us know what their views are and the issues that we're
Yep.
discussing, because based on your perspective of how you look at it, you'll have a different presentation from the I and I. So that is perfectly fine. That's your view. But what we are making clear is what we think about the situation and what we thought on the matter. All right.
Definitely.
So
Yeah, man.
yeah.
Leave your comments, man. Leave your comments. I would just keep it clean, you know? Keep your comments clean in the comment section.
And as you talk about comments, I want to say this as well, that the comments in response to our initial video regarding the land reform move in South Africa, we saw a lot of people being very vocal about it,
I saw
and we want to
Africana
say that
followers.
we want to say that we welcome
Big
this
up on yourself.
debate, this vibrant and lively debate, and because in the perfect balance, we know that there will always be opposing views, you
Yes,
know,
yes,
but
I.
we can always have opposing views, but we're gonna do it in a respectful and dignified. I'm gonna use that as my word today, a dignified manner. You know, we don't have to deal with it on a low vibrational frequency. We
Yes,
can
I.
deal with it dignified. You
We're
know?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
gonna
Big up
man.
the
agree to
listeners in the
disagree. We're
United
gonna
Kingdom,
agree to disagree.
across
Yeah,
US,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
South Africa, Jamaica, Canada, Nigeria. Big up on yourself. Anywhere that on there in the world I watch. Germany, Ghana,
Yeah, man.
Australia, Netherlands. Yeah, man. So we know the Afrikaners them. I check out the
Them are
chat
what?
class. So
I
we
want to tell
welcome everyone
any
to
go on,
the
Yaga.
views that we're expressing. It might not be your view, but it's a different way to look at the same argument because it can be viewed from that aspect as well.
Yeah, man, I want to tell anyone that have a opposing view or even the same view and want to come on the program, you know what I mean? Want to join the program, you know what I mean? You can reach us to us at the perfect balance man at gmail.com. Send an email. And we have you on the program to express your views. If you know what I mean? If
The
you're so
perfect
strongly
balance Trodclass
perfect balance chat class.
at
Yeah, man,
gmail.com.
at gmail.com. Yes, I.
Yeah, man. So remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the notification bell. Become a part of the Perfect Balance Strat class. Become a part of the family. Remember, walk good, you know, and in all your doings, be dignified. I'm out.
Yes, sir. Aye.
All right, all right.
And I said the perfect balance, Strad class. I don't know, say a Chuck for the living for this represents. Good over evil, me tell them see a life over death. I swear, said I will never switch. Keep the fire burning out. Holy Manuel I Selassie, Jah, blazing fire.